Let us set forth on a journey into the depths of history, a history for which the Shi'a hearts burn, longing to see repeated, yet destined this time to reach its conclusion under the hand of the awaited avenger. I am the wind. I have wandered through every corner of history. Though few have ever paid heed to me, yet much I have done. I once served at the command of the Prophet Solomon. I have carried tidings across the lands, felt a scorch of grief upon my breath. It was I who bore the fragrance of Joseph's shirts, and I who scattered the cry of al-Atash. From the fields of Karbala to the very canopy of the earth, it is my whisper that has lifted up the prayers and secrets of God's faithful servants by night and by day, and carried them into the vastness of the heavens. All of this lies written in the chronicles of my life, but I beg you, do not mistake me for those who are but the party of the wind. Do not confuse my essence with theirs. But let us move on to one of the turning points of history more than 1,000 years ago. Northern Iraq, southern Syria, I was aflame, scorching the faces of the soldiers. The hiss of the sand beneath the hooves of 90,000 steeds rose with me, weaving a strange rhythm into the march of the army. Yet thirst had broken their strength, for they were bound for battle, a battle with Muawiyah upon the fields of Ṣiffīn. They reached a crossroads, and I have seen many such crossroads. Their water rations had begun to dwindle, and in the eyes of the commanders, worry surged like a restless tide. One of them spoke, "Master, if we take this road, the journey will be a day longer. It would mean more water, more provisions." The Imam stood in stillness, his gaze fixed upon the horizon, as though he were surveying not only the future, but the very geography of hearts. Then came the command, "We shall take this road." I have always been spellbound by such decrees of the Imams, majestic, unwavering, piercing through both time and doubt. The guides of the path exchanged uneasy glances. "But this route is barren. The wells lie on the other side," they murmured. And the whispers of the devils, too, made themselves heard, for they are always present in every trial, as am I. And indeed, their influence is heavy. Why does the commander of the faithful oppose the counsel of the guides? They hissed. Does he not lead us into certain defeat? Do the guides not know the path from the pits better than the Imam? It was the end of thirst, and death lurked close. For battle they needed strength, yet their bodies cried out for water. I, the wind, whispered with scorn, mocking the thoughts of the hypocrites that slithered among them. At last, by the command of the Imam, the army turned toward the path he had shown. They marched through the night. By the following noon, the caravan reached a forsaken monastery. Its wooden door groaned beneath the scorching sun. An aged monk stepped out, his face worn with dust and years. And I knew him well, for he had dwelt here, in this lonely place, for many long years. The Imam greeted him gently and asked, "Do you have water?" Wearily the man shook his head. "For this army? I have but a single water skin left, and even that has grown stale and foul." With a gaze full of compassion, the Imam replied, "It is good, God willing. Water shall be provided for you, and we shall bring it as well." The caravan pressed on. Their bodies were brimming with thirst, yearning for water pure and sweet. A few miles further, the Imam halted. Around them lay nothing. A barren desert stretching endlessly, without a single sign of life. I too was at my task, hot searing, caressing them with the fire of my breath. When the Imam declared, the Imam commanded, "Move that boulder." The soldiers set to the task, yet even with all their might, they were powerless before the massive stone. Pickaxes splintered, and despair cast its heavy shadow upon them. And of course, the buzzing of the devils returned, as it always does in every great and small affair. One voice muttered, "It cannot be done. Our strength fails us. What a mistake we have made." An aged man cried out, "This is no work for us, nor for any other hand. This calls for the very hand that tore the gate of Khaybar from its hinges." Let me tell you, I have seen many such men, and not all voices are the whispers of Satan. And by the witness of history, by my own witness, the old man spoke the truth. That stone was no less than the gate of Khaybar itself. Then the Imam stepped forward. He placed his hands upon the boulder. For a heartbeat, all was silent, and with but a single motion, the rock was cast aside. Breaths caught in throats. From beneath the stone, water burst forth, clear, cool, and sweet. Their water rations had begun to dwindle. They filled their water skins, they performed ablution, they drank and they wept. The thunder of Allahu Akbar rose from the army, rolling across the desert until it filled the horizon. And I too, like the soldiers, was swept with ecstasy. For I have told you, I am enamored with the miracles of the Imams. Though let it remain unsaid, for if one has understanding, a single word suffices. Once the army was quenched, the Imam decreed, fill the monk's water skin as well. When they reached him, the hermit received it in astonishment. He tasted the water, and the color drained from his face. Where did you find this? He stammered. One of the Imam's companions replied, from a place in the heart of the desert from where the Imam pointed. Tears welled in the monk's eyes, his legs trembled. He fell to his knees. We had heard from our forefathers, the monk whispered, that hidden in the heart of this desert lies a spring, but only the man of truth can uncover it. And his name is written in our books, and I dwelt in this monastery all my life, waiting for his coming, waiting for this very moment. Then he bore witness to the oneness of God, to the prophethood of the messenger, and to the guardianship of the commander of the faithful. He joined the caravan, and I, ever watchful, saw how his eyes never left the Imam, not even for a heartbeat. At Ṣiffīn, on the very first day of battle, he fought with valor and love, a stranger turned warrior. When that day of fighting came to its close, the commander of the faithful walked among the fallen. A soldier asked him, "My master, what is it that you seek?" The Imam replied, "The monk." And among the martyrs he found him, frail, wounded, nameless, alone. The Imam knelt beside him, lifting his head close, for in truth, the Imam was his only kin, his only family. Then suddenly, a gentle smile blossomed upon the lips of the commander of the faithful, and he said, "I looked upon his paradise, his wife, his peace. He attained salvation." The monk was gone, and I, who am rarely left astonished, stood in awe at this tale. Was it that an entire army was led to change its path, and a boulder in the desert split open with a miracle of water from heaven, all for the guidance of one monk? Or was it the martyrdom of one monk was destined for the guidance of an army, and history itself? Allahu Akbar! What power, what will, what act of the Imam! Truly, he is the very embodiment of wonders. Yet let me speak of the last geography, the final scene of that thirsty army. On one side, Muawiyah's forces, before them, the Qur'ans raised upon spears, and there, at the edge of the battlefield, the Imam with but a handful of loyal companions. But in the middle of the field stood 90,000, an army that had seen miracles and that had drunk from the pure waters of trust and obedience to the Imam. And now, once again, they were brought to a choice. A knot of grief rose in my throat, and I could carry the tale no further. A tale I have named obedience, guidance, and folly. For the end of those Qur'ans raised upon spears today reminds me of another Qur'an, a living Qur'an raised upon a spear tomorrow. But still, I, the breeze, the wind, the storm, call me what you will, remain as the monk once was, waiting for the day of vengeance, when I shall roar and blow upon the banner of Ya Latharat al-Hussein, when I shall carry forth the cry of the heir of Ghadir to every soul upon the earth. O people of the world, I am Al-Mahdi, the grandson of Al-Hussein.